Have you ever wondered what makes something feel hot or cold? Why does ice cream feel so chilly on a summer day? Why does a hot cup of cocoa warm your hands in the winter? The answer is temperature. Temperature is all around us. Temperature tells us how hot or cold something is. We feel temperature every day. The sun warms us up. A cold drink cools us down. Understanding temperature helps us understand the world around us. Temperature isn't just about how things feel. It's important for so many things. It affects the weather, how we cook our food, and even how our bodies work. Our tricky sense of touch. Have you ever wondered how we perceive the world through our sense of touch? It's fascinating how our skin can detect a wide range of sensations, from the gentle brush of a feather to the sharp sting of a needle. But when it comes to temperature, things get a bit more complicated. We often talk about things feeling hot or cold. For instance, holding an ice cube can make your fingers feel numb, while a hot cup of tea can warm your hands on a chilly day. These sensations are so common that we rarely stop to think about how they work. But did you know that our sense of touch can be tricky? Sometimes, our perception of temperature can be misleading. Have you ever touched something and been surprised by how hot or cold it felt, even though you didn't expect it to be that extreme? Sometimes things can feel colder or hotter than they actually are. This happens because our skin doesn't measure temperature directly. Instead, it senses the rate at which heat is transferred between our skin and the object we're touching. Imagine touching a metal railing on a chilly day. Brrr! It feels freezing, right? That's because metal is a good conductor of heat. It quickly draws heat away from your skin, making it feel much colder than the actual air temperature. Now, touch a wooden fence right beside it. The fence doesn't feel as cold, even though it's the same temperature outside. This is because wood is a poor conductor of heat. The fence doesn't feel as cold, even though it's the same temperature outside. This difference in sensation is due to the material's thermal conductivity. Metal conducts heat away from your hand quickly, while wood does not. That's because our bodies don't measure temperature directly. Instead, they sense how quickly heat moves from our hand to the object. This is why different materials can feel like they are at different temperatures, even when they are actually the same. They sense how quickly heat moves from our hand to the object. For example, when you touch a metal object, the heat from your hand is transferred to the metal very quickly, making it feel cold. Metal conducts heat away from our hand quickly, making it feel cold. This rapid heat transfer is why metal objects often feel colder than they really are. Wood is a poor conductor, so it doesn't feel as cold. The heat from your hand is not transferred away as quickly, so the wood feels warmer to the touch. This is why we need a better way to measure temperature, a tool that's more accurate than our sense of touch. Thermometers provide a precise measurement of temperature, allowing us to understand the true heat level of an object or environment without being misled by our tricky sense of touch. To measure temperature accurately, we use thermometers. Thermometers are like detectives, but instead of solving mysteries, they reveal the temperature of things. They tell us exactly how hot or cold something is in numbers. There are many different types of thermometers. Some thermometers measure the temperature of the air, like the ones we use to check the weather. Others measure the temperature of our bodies when we're feeling sick. No matter what type of thermometer we use, they all work based on the same principle. When something gets hotter, it expands. When it gets colder, it contracts. Thermometers use this expansion and contraction to measure temperature. When we get sick, our bodies often get hotter than usual. This is called a fever. To check for a fever, doctors and nurses use a special type of thermometer called a clinical thermometer. Clinical thermometers are designed to measure the temperature of the human body. They have a narrow glass tube with a bulb at one end. The bulb contains a special liquid, usually mercury. When the bulb of the thermometer touches our body, the heat from our body makes the mercury expand. The mercury rises in the narrow tube, and we can read the temperature on a scale marked on the thermometer. While clinical thermometers are great for measuring body temperature, scientists and researchers often need to measure the temperature of other things, like liquids in a lab. That's where laboratory thermometers come in handy. Laboratory thermometers are similar to clinical thermometers, but they usually have a wider range of temperatures they can measure. They also might have different features, like a longer stem or a different type of liquid inside. Whether it's for checking for a fever or conducting an experiment, thermometers are essential tools for understanding temperature. Have you ever noticed that shiny silver liquid inside some thermometers? That's mercury. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? This unique element has been used in thermometers for centuries, and there's a good reason for that. Mercury is a special type of metal that's liquid at room temperature. Unlike most metals, which are solid, mercury remains in a liquid state, making it quite unique and useful for various applications. This makes it perfect for using in thermometers. The liquid nature of mercury allows it to move freely within the glass tube of the thermometer, responding quickly to temperature changes. Why do we use mercury? Well, there are several reasons. One of the main reasons is its consistent expansion and contraction properties. Mercury expands and contracts evenly as the temperature changes. This uniform behavior ensures that the readings we get are accurate and reliable, which is crucial for many scientific and medical applications. This means we get an accurate reading on the thermometer. Accuracy is vital, especially in medical settings where precise temperature measurements can be critical for diagnosing and treating patients. Mercury also has a high boiling point and a low freezing point, so it can be used to measure a wide range of temperatures. This versatility makes mercury thermometers suitable for various environments, from extremely cold to very hot conditions. However, it's important to handle mercury thermometers with care. Despite their usefulness, mercury thermometers can pose health risks if not used properly. Mercury is toxic, which means it can be harmful if it leaks out of the thermometer and we touch it or breathe it in. Always handle mercury thermometers with caution, and if a thermometer breaks, make sure to clean it up safely and dispose of it properly to avoid any health hazards. Just like we can measure distance in kilometers or miles, we can measure temperature using different scales. The three most common temperature scales are Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. Celsius is the scale most commonly used around the world. On the Celsius scale, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit is mostly used in the United States. On the Fahrenheit scale, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Kelvin is used by scientists. It starts at absolute zero, which is the coldest possible temperature. It's important to know which scale your thermometer uses, so you can understand the temperature reading. Remember how we talked about mercury being toxic? Well, that's why many people are switching to digital thermometers. Digital thermometers don't use mercury. Instead, they use a sensor to measure temperature and display the reading on a digital screen. Digital thermometers are safer to use because there's no risk of mercury exposure. Plus, they're easier to read and often give faster results than traditional mercury thermometers. Whether you're using a digital thermometer or a mercury thermometer, it's important to know how to read it correctly to get an accurate temperature measurement. Reading a thermometer might seem tricky at first, but it's easy once you know how. Here's a step-by-step guide. First, find the scale. Thermometers come in various types and each has its own scale. Understanding these scales is the first step in becoming proficient at reading temperatures. Look for the units of measurement on the thermometer, whether it's Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin. Each unit has its own significance and is used in different contexts. Celsius is commonly used in most parts of the world for everyday temperature readings, while Fahrenheit is primarily used in the United States. Kelvin, on the other hand, is used in scientific settings. Next, locate the mercury or digital reading. The mercury thermometer has been a staple for many years, and it works by the expansion of mercury in response to temperature changes. Digital thermometers, however, use electronic sensors to provide a quick and accurate reading. If you're using a mercury thermometer, find where the top of the mercury column lines up with the scale. This can sometimes be a bit challenging, especially if the mercury level is between two markings. Make sure to read it at eye level to avoid parallax error. For digital thermometers, simply read the number on the screen. These thermometers are designed to be user-friendly and often come with additional features like memory recall and fever alerts. They are particularly useful for quick readings, especially in medical settings. Write down the temperature measurement, including the units. Recording the temperature accurately is crucial, whether you're monitoring a patient's health, conducting a scientific experiment, or simply keeping track of the weather. You've successfully read the temperature. Congratulations! With practice, reading a thermometer will become second nature. It's a valuable skill that can be applied in various aspects of life. Understanding temperature is an important part of learning about the world around us. It helps us make sense of the environment, from the weather patterns we experience daily to the conditions required for scientific experiments. From the weather to our health, temperature plays a vital role in our lives. It affects how we dress, how we feel, and even how we function. Monitoring temperature can help us stay safe and comfortable. And with the help of thermometers, we can measure temperature accurately and safely. Whether you're using a traditional mercury thermometer or a modern digital one, understanding how to read and interpret temperature is an essential skill. So keep practicing and stay curious about the world around you.